Happy Feel Good Friday, Colts Nation. I hope you're having a great day. And with it being Friday, of course, that means it's time for the pregame preview, where we're going to go over injury reports. And then we're going to talk about how we think this game's going to go and what we think the score is going to be at the end of it. So, starting with the Bengals practice report, and this is of Thursday. Whatever the update is for Friday, we'll have a video on that tomorrow because of my day job. Just unable to get that to you today. But for Thursday, there was some big stuff happening on both sides. Okay, and for the Bengals, the only thing that changed for them from the players that were on the injury report yesterday was that Chase Brown, the backup running back, was a full participant where he was a limited participant on Wednesday. But some new stuff that popped up on the Bengals injury report yesterday was one of their tackles out with a personal issue. Tyler Boyd showed up on the injury report with an ankle injury, was a limited participant in practice. And cornerback DJ Turner II showed up on the injury report with a hamstring injury and was a limited participant in practice. And those could be two big time injuries for this team, right? Kind of looks like everybody else on their injury report could be good to go. But for injuries that pop up on Thursday in practice, those ones are always iffy. Are they going to make it? These are probably going to be guys that are game time decisions. Again, we'll see what happens with the Friday practice report and whatever happens today. Again, we'll talk about tomorrow. But if these two guys are out, that throws quite the advantage in the Colts' direction, right? You're taking two starters out. You're taking a couple of guys that are kind of key for what they're trying to do on both sides of the ball. So we'll see whether or not those guys are practicing on Friday. But for right now, again, Thursday injuries, we'll see how it goes. An ankle injury and hamstring injury to a wide receiver and a cornerback, that's not great news. So for the Colts on our end, that is pretty good news for us. If they're not in the game, that would definitely help us. So when you go look at the Colts practice report, Braden Smith was once again not at practice. Looks like he might miss another game this season. EJ Speed also not practicing. I'm hoping that's more precautionary. Take another G day since you have this knee injury. Hopefully he's able to go Friday. Friday is going to be very telling on whether or not he's going to be able to play. He's also a guy that's been in the system, so maybe they are good with him not practicing and then playing on Sunday. We'll see what happens with EJ. Jonathan Taylor, again, that door is open kind of with what Shane Steichen said, but he did not practice again on Thursday. So if he practices on Friday, maybe there's a chance. If he's not practicing on Friday, then he's probably going to be out this upcoming week. But as we move on here, we get to DeForest Buckner with his shoulder injury. And what happened with DeForest Buckner and Tyquan Lewis is why I think EJ Speed might just be getting another G day to be able to heal up a little bit, because DeForest Buckner was a full participant and Tyquan Lewis full participant Wednesday. And of course, those were just estimations because they're doing a walkthrough. But then yesterday, they were both limited participants in practice. So hopefully they're able to go on Friday, and then hopefully they're going to be good to go for Sunday. I assume they're going to be good to go. It's just late in the season. And it seems like coach is at a point where he just wants to make sure his guys are able to make it to Sunday. He feels like he can trust his guys, especially these veteran guys, the guys that were here last year and were in the system. So it seems like, they just might be getting a little extra rest, but should be probably, in my estimation, good to go when Sunday rolls around. And the last name we need to talk about, you didn't hear me talk about, it's usually the first person we talk about on the Colts side of things because he's at the top. And my friends, that's going to be Colts rookie cornerback Juju Brents finally getting back on the practice field. We talked about it yesterday, how I had been hearing rumblings that he might get back on the practice field this week, and it ended up happening. He got back on the practice field as a limited participant, which is exactly what we talked about. When he comes back, it'll probably be in a limited capacity where he's just doing individual drills and some conditioning and trying to get back up to speed. He's probably going to practice again tomorrow, and then in my humble opinion, he's probably not playing on Sunday. Don't expect him to play after missing so much time. But having him back on the practice field is huge. DJ Baker hasn't been terrible. The second go around with him as a starter, he's been pretty good. But then getting Juju Brents back in the lineup, and then all of a sudden we have depth at cornerback. We have all these guys that we were unsure about coming into the year that have had to get playing experience this year. So going into the playoffs, if something happens to one of these guys, we know we have backups that have experience. We have backups that have at least had the opportunity to get some reps. They have good coaching and they can figure it out. So Juju Brent's coming back, right? Grover Stewart coming back. These are big time things. And of course, Juju Brent's, again, probably not playing this week, but these guys coming back into the lineup specifically for that defense, which struggled mightily when both those guys weren't there. So I think this is going to be a huge boost to the defense. I think going into the playoffs with the teams that we're playing, especially, this defense should continue to dominate. They've been pretty dominant over, the last 4 weeks that we've actually played. And, but the opponents, right? You talk about the opponents that we've had, and with the opponents that we're going to have, we should be able to dominate. So, that's what I'm looking for going forward with the defense. But when you start talking about this week with the Bengals, I want to start by looking at the Colts offense against the Bengals defense. And this is where I think we're going to be able to dominate. I think we could dominate this game from an offensive standpoint, right? I think in the trenches, I think we could dominate the Bengals, right? They have 32 sacks on the season as a team, and that's about middle of the pack in the NFL. They're not terrible from that aspect. Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, some good guys. They have a good front, but I think up front, I just think we're better. Even with Blake Freeland in there, it's a downgrade from Braden Smith, sure, but he has experience. Again, we talked about that. He's had to have experience. He's played some really good edge rushers. And as good as Sam Hubbard is, I just don't think he's the same kind of player as Myles Garrett. So, I think Blake Freeland will be fine in that aspect. I think we'll dominate the trenches, which is why I think we can dominate this game. When you look at it in the run game, the Bengals are giving up the third most yards per carry. We're tied for second. They're right here with the Giants at 4.8. Okay, the Broncos are giving up 5.2 yards per carry. And you got to think, all the Broncos statistics for this season on defense are skewed from that 70-point game. All their defensive statistics are a little bit worse because of that one game where the Dolphins just went absolutely wild on that defense. But then you have the Bengals at 4.8, and we have Zach Moss, who's still a top 10 rushing leader in the NFL. So I think between the offensive line and Zach Moss and Shane Steichen's play designs, I think we'll be able to run the ball at a pretty good clip in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Zach Moss get a couple of those chunk runs in this game. And that fact is only going to be amplified if we're able to get the pass game going, and then we can work some play action, and everything works hand in hand, because you look at the pass offense for the Bengals, it's at 8.1 yards per attempt, which is tied for the worst in the NFL with the Commanders. Now, where we have to be careful is that in terms of passing, they've only given up 15 passing touchdowns, but have 12 interceptions this year as a defense. So, they give up a lot of yards, but they end up turning the ball over, which feels a little bit like Eberflus's defense, right? I think that's kind of reminiscent of Eberflus's defenses. So we know what it looks like. And I think coming into this game, we can take advantage of that, especially with the way Gardner's been playing over the last couple of weeks, being, not afraid to throw that deep ball. And he's been more accurate ever since the bye week. He seems more accurate. He's missed some balls. He's not putting it in the perfect spot every time, but he's getting closer. The more he plays with these guys, we're seeing him be able to put the ball in good spots. Alec Pierce getting involved more in the short game and then the long game. And, back-to-back games, finding different ways to get Alec involved and finding ways to be able to stretch the field. And again, if we can stretch the field, it'll help open up the run game for Zach Moss. If the run game gets going, that'll help the pass game. We're going to be able to hit those deep shots off some play actions with the linebackers coming up, or hit a crossing route to Josh Downs when those linebackers cheat up and Gardner can put it over a linebacker. So, I think, again, offensively, Colts can take advantage of the Bengals in this game. But what we have to be careful of is that the Bengals offense doesn't take advantage of our defense. And again, with Grover Stewart coming back, I think that gets a lot easier. With the way this defensive front's been playing recently, I think that gets a lot easier, right? Getting after the quarterback, rookie, Jake Browning. we got to get after this kid. We got to make him uncomfortable. And with not only DeForest Buckner in the middle, who does his thing every game, but now with Grover Stewart coming back in the middle, not only does he have to worry about the edge, but he's going to have to worry about those big boys right in his face coming down the middle. So, I think it's going to be a long day for Jake Browning. I think we're going to be able to force him into mistakes. And we've talked about forcing guys into mistakes over the last few weeks. And, the defense is getting home, hasn't really forced mistakes in the aspect of making them throw interceptions, but getting home for sacks is just fine. Right. Of course, we want the turnovers. I think there will be opportunities for turnovers in this game because I think we'll be up for most of this game. I think the Bengals will be passing for most of this game. And of course, they have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. That's why if Tyler Boyd's out, that's a big deal. Right. Because then they still have Trent Irwin. You can't let Trent Irwin be the guy that's absolutely annihilating you and the reason that you're getting beat. But I think with the coverages that the Colts have been playing, playing a lot more quarter coverage as of late. I think that's a kind of a coverage that's designed to stop an offense like the Bengals, right? That want to get the ball downfield to one of their guys, whether it's Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. So I think we can combat that. I think Gus has showed that for the most part, he's pretty good at adjusting, especially after halftime. It's not always perfect, right? It's the NFL. He plays some soft coverages sometimes, usually when we're in the lead. And I think overall, when it comes down to it, I think our defense is going to be able to make the plays necessary to win this game. When you make a team one-dimensional, and we're a team that's had, 5+ sacks in 3+ games this year, the longest streak in the NFL of having 5+ sacks. And I don't think that's going to stop this upcoming week. I think we're going to be able to put the pressure on Jake Browning and force him into mistakes. It's going to help the offense get the ball back and keep putting points on the board. Other than playing the Patriots, we've put 20+ on the board every single week. Even if it's the defense helping out, we've been putting up points. So this week, of course, I like us coming in this week. I think we're going to win this game. And I think the score of this game is probably going to be somewhere around 31-20. I think there's going to be some late points that are scored by the Bengals when we're playing really soft coverage and they're able to march their way down the field because they have talent on that offense. They'll be able to put up some points. But again, I think the Colts offense is able to dominate this game. And we put up 31 in this game. Again, the Bengals 20. You let me know what your prediction is down in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think about this game. And again, we're going to have another injury update tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified when that video does come out. And I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.